My fiancé looked at me with complete nonchalance and said, "My friends think I can do better than you. They say you're not up to my standards." I stayed calm and replied, "Then go find someone better." She had no idea that the very same day, I quietly did something she would never have expected. 1 week later, at 2 a.m., her friend called me, crying so hard she could barely breathe. Please pick up. Something happened at the bachelorette party, and it's about you." I'm 29, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I work as an investment analyst, nothing glamorous, but it pays well. I'd been with my fiancée, Claire, for 4 years. We got engaged last spring, and the wedding was scheduled for next June. Or at least, it was supposed to be. Let me back up. Claire came from old money. Her parents were wealthy, seriously wealthy, and she'd grown up in a world where things were handed to her. She was beautiful, smart in that effortless way, and honestly, I was incredibly attracted to her. But looking back now, I can see the cracks I chose not to examine. We met at a mutual friend's dinner party in the city. She was laughing at something someone said, and I remember thinking, that's the woman I'm going to marry. Pathetic, I know, but we clicked immediately. She seemed interested in my life, asked questions, actually listened. Or at least I thought she did. The first year was perfect. We traveled, spent time at her family's house upstate, went to restaurants I could barely afford but made work anyway. Somewhere around year 2, things started to shift. She'd make comments. Small things at first. "Your apartment is so small," or "I wish you made as much as my ex-boyfriend." I told myself she was joking. She had a sharp sense of humor. That was just Claire being Claire. By year 3, her friends had fully infiltrated her opinions about me. These women, Brittany, Amber, and a few others, seemed to circle her constantly, and every time they were around, Claire would be different. More critical, more focused on what I didn't have rather than who I was. But I loved her, so I doubled down. I got the promotion. I bought the apartment in the better neighborhood. I planned elaborate dates. I proposed with a 2-carat diamond. I was trying to build a life where I was enough. Spoiler, I never was. It was a Tuesday when Claire said it. We were in the kitchen of our apartment, the one I'd stretched my finances to get into the right part of town. She was on her laptop, scrolling through something, half engaged in conversation as usual. Her friend Brittany had been over earlier, and I heard them whispering in the bedroom for about 20 minutes before Brittany left. "My friends think I can do better than you," she said, not even looking at me. "They say you're not up to my standards." I was making coffee. My hand froze on the carafe. I actually laughed at first, like it had to be a joke. "What?" I asked. She finally looked at me, and there was no humor in her eyes. "Brittany said I'm settling. And honestly, I think she might be right. You're sweet, and you're stable, but you're not ambitious enough. You're not the kind of guy who's going to take me where I want to go." I set the coffee down. Very deliberately, I took a breath and said, "Then go find someone better." I said it quietly, calmly. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was actually eerily calm. She blinked at me like I'd slapped her. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I mean exactly what I said. If you think you can do better, then do it. Don't stay with me out of convenience or habit. That's not fair to either of us." She laughed nervously. "You're being ridiculous. I'm just saying what my friend said." "I didn't mean it like that." "I think you meant exactly like that," I said, and I walked into the bedroom and closed the door. That night, I didn't sleep, but I made a decision. I'd already heard whispers about Claire's financial situation. Her parents had cut her off funding 3 years ago, something about learning the value of money. She never told me directly. I'd pieced it together from conversations with her sister. Claire lived on an allowance her grandmother sent her, which was substantial but not infinite. She'd never worked a real job in her life. Everything I thought was confidence was actually entitlement. The next morning, the very next morning, I did something that would change everything. I called my lawyer. Update 1. I consulted with a family law attorney about a prenuptial agreement. I know that sounds cold, but hear me out. I didn't go to her and demand she sign something. Instead, I did something smarter. I had my lawyer send a formal request to Claire's family's legal team. I said I wanted to ensure that any marital assets we accumulated before marriage remained separate, and that in the event of divorce, Claire's premarital inheritance, which her grandmother's trust would eventually give her, remained entirely hers. It was technically protective. In reality, it was a message written in legal language. Asterisk, I know what you have. And I'm protecting myself. Asterisk. Her parents' lawyer called her within 2 days. She came home furious. "What the hell did you do?" she demanded. "Consulted with an attorney about marital protections," I said calmly, not looking up from my laptop. "You talked to my family's lawyer without telling me?" "I didn't talk to them. I asked mine to reach out. There's a difference." She stood there, face flushed with anger and something else. I think it was fear. "This is insane. We're getting married. Why are you doing this?" "Because a few days ago, you told me I wasn't good enough for you." I took that to heart. "I decided that if you're not confident in this relationship, neither should I be." She started to cry then, the kind of crying that seemed more about being caught off guard than about genuine emotion. "I didn't mean it, okay? I was just upset. Brittany was being judgmental about you, and I defended myself poorly. It came out wrong." "Did it?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she left and went to stay with Brittany for 3 nights. During those 3 days, I did more research. I looked into Claire's credit cards, public records, nothing illegal. I reviewed her emails, which I felt justified in checking because we shared a cloud account for household purposes. I found extensive messaging chains with Brittany discussing my job prospects, my family background, whether I was worth staying with long-term. In one thread, Brittany had suggested Claire leave me before the wedding to avoid legal complications. In another, Claire had joked about being tied to an average guy with an average future. The kicker? There were also emails between Claire and someone named Daniel. Daniel was her ex-boyfriend from college, the one she'd mentioned when making comments about my income. They'd been in contact for the past 8 months. The tone was friendly but flirtatious. He'd recently gotten a promotion at his family's investment firm and was apparently single again. When Claire came back, I didn't confront her about Daniel. Not yet. I smiled. I acted like I'd learned my lesson. I apologized for being defensive. I told her the prenup request was paranoid and I'd cancel it. She seemed relieved, almost guilty. But I'd made another call that day, to a private investigator. Update 2 ***. The week of the bachelorette party arrived. Claire was going to a resort upstate with her friends, a 4-day thing. I drove her to the airport on Thursday morning. In the car, she seemed genuinely happy for the first time in weeks. She kissed me goodbye and said she was excited to come home. "I'm sorry about everything," she said at the gate. "I've been stressed about the wedding and my friends getting in my head. But I love you. I know I don't always show it the right way, but I do." I nodded and kissed her forehead. I didn't say anything. That evening, my investigator sent me his preliminary report. I'll spare you the details, but Daniel had reserved a hotel room for Thursday night through Saturday morning. The name on the reservation was his. The room was at the same resort where Claire's bachelorette party was taking place. I received photos on Friday afternoon. Claire and Daniel together at a hotel bar. Claire and Daniel walking toward the hotel elevator. The timestamp was 11:47 p.m. I sat with those photos for an hour. I didn't feel rage. I felt a strange kind of clarity. This was the confirmation of something I'd already suspected. This was the end of my own delusion. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I waited. Saturday passed. Sunday came. She arrived home around 6 p.m., sunburned and happy, carrying a weekend bag. She immediately started talking about the party, spa day, karaoke, inside jokes with her friends. Normal girlfriend behavior. She hugged me and asked about my weekend. "It was productive," I said. "I got a lot of thinking done." "About what?" she asked, heading to the kitchen. "About us. About what I want. About whether I'm willing to keep compromising." She froze. "What are you talking about?" "I hired a private investigator, Claire." The color drained from her face. I watched it happen in real time. She literally gripped the counter to steady herself. "What?" she whispered. I showed her the photos. Not all of them, just enough. Her and Daniel at the bar. Her and Daniel in the hallway. She started lying immediately. It was nothing. Daniel had shown up unexpectedly. They'd just had one drink to catch up. They'd gone to his room to talk. Nothing happened. She swore on everything that it was innocent. I didn't believe her. And more importantly, I didn't care if it was physically innocent or not. She'd been in contact with her ex for months without mentioning it. She'd met him at a resort while supposedly celebrating her upcoming wedding to me. That was the betrayal. That was the lie. "I want you to leave," I said quietly. "What? Leave? Pack a bag and go. I'll arrange for you to stay somewhere else for a few days while I figure out next steps." She cried. She begged. She said we could work through it. She said I was being extreme. She said that we had a wedding planned, families involved, a life together. You told me 3 weeks ago that I wasn't good enough for you, I said. You spent 8 months secretly talking to your ex. You met up with him while I was at home planning a future with you. So no, Claire, I don't think we can work through it. She left at 8 p.m. with 2 suitcases, her face blotchy and tear-stained. She stayed with her parents initially, though I later found out she spent the first night at Brittany's apartment. Update 3. The next morning, my phone started ringing. Claire, her mother, her father, her lawyer. Yes, she got a lawyer before we'd even properly ended. The narrative was shifting rapidly. Suddenly, I was the bad guy for hiring a PI. That was invasive and paranoid. The photos weren't definitive proof of anything. I was being cruel and vindictive. By Monday, every single one of her friends had reached out to me directly, either by email or message. They were defending her. They claimed I was controlling and jealous. One of them, Amber, actually wrote that hiring an investigator was a form of psychological abuse. I didn't respond to any of it. My lawyer did. My lawyer sent a formal letter stating that I was calling off the wedding and that I would be pursuing separate legal representation regarding the engagement ring and any shared assets we'd accumulated. The engagement ring became surprisingly relevant. Claire, through her lawyer, demanded I return it or compensate her with $8,500, apparently what she claimed it was worth. I refused. The ring was given as a gift, not a loan. She could hire a lawyer to dispute it, but she'd lose that fight and spend more in legal fees trying. She didn't pursue it. Then came the thing I'd been waiting for. At 2 a.m. on Thursday night, 1 week after the bachelorette party, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered expecting silence or a crank call. Instead, I heard sobs. Please pick up. Something happened at the bachelorette party, and it's about you. It was Amber, Claire's best friend. Amber's words came in fragmented bursts through her crying. Apparently, on Saturday night, while Claire and Daniel were doing God knows what, a conversation happened among the remaining bachelorette attendees. One of Claire's cousins, someone I'd only met a few times, had apparently opened up about Claire and Daniel's history. But more than that, she'd mentioned something else. Daniel had a girlfriend. He'd had one the entire time he was in contact with Claire. The girlfriend's name was Rachel, and she was at home dealing with the fact that Daniel was spending his weekend at a resort under false pretenses. One of the girls at the bachelorette party knew Rachel vaguely, mutual connection through a friend of a friend. By Sunday, before they even left the resort, Rachel had been messaged screenshots. Rachel had then called Daniel, confronted him, and they'd apparently had a massive blowout fight in his hotel room. But here's where it gets interesting. Rachel didn't just get mad at Daniel. She did some digging. She called the hotel and confirmed the room reservation. She checked his credit card statements, and she found out that Claire wasn't the only woman Daniel had been secretly meeting up with. There was someone else, a woman named Victoria in Boston, with similar messaging patterns and similar hotel room encounters. Daniel was a serial cheater with a specific type, wealthy, connected women who wouldn't ask too many questions. Claire's devastated. Amber sobbed into the phone. She feels so stupid. And I feel terrible because her voice broke. I've been so critical of you. And she was never doing this because of anything you did. She was just trying to prove something to us. To me. And now she's broken and Daniel is. He's just moved on like it's nothing. I didn't know what to feel. Relief, maybe. Vindication. Some schadenfreude. Why are you calling me? I asked, though I already knew. Because you deserve to know that you didn't do anything wrong. And because Claire is going to reach out. And I think she's going to beg for your forgiveness. And I think you should know what she was really dealing with before you decide. Final update. Claire did reach out. The next day, she showed up at my office building around lunchtime. She looked terrible, makeup smeared, hair unwashed, eyes that hadn't slept in days. She asked if we could talk somewhere private, and I agreed to walk with her to a coffee shop nearby. Over terrible black coffee, she told me everything. She told me about the pressure she felt from her friends to trade up. She told me about Daniel contacting her initially and how flattering it felt. She told me about building a fantasy where she could have both, me as the stable option and Daniel as the exciting one. She told me about the guilt that grew each time she lied to me. She also told me that finding out Daniel was cheating with multiple women broke her in a way she didn't know was possible, because it meant that even the fantasy wasn't real. She'd compromised her entire future for someone who viewed her as just another option. I was horrible to you, she said quietly. I used you. and I threw away something real for something that never existed. I listened. I didn't interrupt. When she finished, I was quiet for a long time. I don't hate you, I finally said. But I'm also not forgiving this just because you got hurt. What happened to you was a consequence of your own choices. I didn't make those choices. Your friends didn't make them. Daniel didn't make them. You did. I know, she whispered. The wedding is off. I'm keeping the ring. And I think you should take some serious time to figure out who you actually are outside of what your friends think you should be. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. We finished our coffee in silence, and that was the last real conversation we had. Her parents' lawyer initially pushed back on everything, threatening to pursue the engagement ring in civil court. I called their bluff. They backed down within a week. I suspect Claire told them to stop. As for Claire herself, she ended up taking a year off from her friend group. She moved back in with her parents temporarily and actually got a job, something her family had encouraged, but she'd always refused. Last I heard, through mutual friends, she's now working in PR and living in Brooklyn with a roommate. She's seeing someone new, but it seems healthier than before. More low-key. Brittany and that group? Claire distanced herself from them. Turns out some of them had known about Daniel and never said anything. Others had been gossiping about her behind her back for years. The friendship wasn't what Claire thought it was. And me? I'm dating someone new. Her name is Sophia. She's an architect, has her own ambitions, and when she talks about me, it's with respect rather than criticism. We've been together for 8 months now, and there's no pressure, no performing, no feeling like I need to prove my worth. It's just easy. The wedding that was supposed to happen last June didn't happen, obviously. My friends threw a dodged-a-bullet party instead, which felt premature at the time, but seems increasingly appropriate in retrospect. Edit 1. I kept the ring and sold it. Used the money toward a vacation to Costa Rica with Sophia. Edit 2. Claire did eventually reach out about 6 months after everything ended, genuinely apologizing and taking responsibility. I accepted the apology but didn't offer friendship. Some things can't go back to what they were. Edit 3. Daniel's now married to Victoria from Boston. His first girlfriend, Rachel, is apparently thriving, doing much better without him. The poetic irony isn't lost on anyone.